You guys mind if I share my screen?
Good to go.
All right, here we go. So, a couple things for background here and how I got to where I'm at. Yeah, I'll talk about my background a long time, but a lot of what I'm doing right now as an individual entrepreneur and trying to launch a business, you have to create a lot of content with marketing, but writing that yourself, putting that together is never a real easy thing. And so you turn to AI for being able to do that, but getting it to write in a voice or a tone that you want it to be unique is pretty difficult, right? If you just let AI go on its own and you use like a raw GPT or Gemini, or which is probably Gemini is probably a little bit better than GPT in terms of writing, you get some things that are telltale signs, right? You'll get recycled phrasing, echoing words, things like furthermore, in addition to. Another important factor to consider is, or you'll see like super high polish, low depth type of content. So it's missing any kind of real life anecdote or lived experiences behind it. You can get very predictable progressions. So open, um, bullet points, close, like you get an open paragraph, bullet points, and then a closed paragraph. Lots of bottom line or in conclusion types of titles, bolds where it doesn't really need to be bolded, or things like that. Or you get lack of specificity, I can say that, with an overconfident but vague or hyper specific on odd details type of writing, right? So to overcome that, you have to be pretty detailed about what you're telling the client to do or what you're telling the AI to do. So what I tend to do, or what I've learned to do, is basically I create a document that details out the writing style that I want the AI to work in, right? So I create a document detailing that style out there and say, imitate this style. Then I take that into a project in a tool like ChatGPT and feed that into the instructions on that project. And finally, that then allows me to just go and simply put out a statement and then have the writing done for me. It works way much faster. But then people can't figure out if that's AI or not, because I've given the instructions so deeply. I taught my daughter to do this and it passed, it made her her second semester senior year in college go way fast without getting caught, by the way. So give you an idea of how that might work. This is a writing style of a persona that I've created called Moxie. Moxie is the AI for the tool that I'm launching, and I'll introduce you to her a little bit later. But give you an idea of what I wrote here. So I gave it a tone of voice. So I gave him very descriptions about, who she is, her personality here, how I want the writing style to come out in the sentence structure, what phrases to use, humor and attitude. Told it what not to do, right? And then just gave it some examples of how that works out. So what I did then here is I take that over here and I have a project called Moxie, right? You can see I use Moxie quite a bit to write for me, but inside there are the instructions as I loaded the files in there. You just add these files here that pull it together. And now you can just tell it to write something. So one thing I do is I create a tip of the week. We were just sharing that in the breakout section. So I said, I'll just say write 6 tips of the week on the importance of blogging for small businesses. So now my prompt can be much less intense and I can just give it a topic to write on here. And now she goes and builds this out, right? And she does it or the AI does it in her tone. Um, so you see here, like, hey, your website might look pretty, but with the fresh blogs, it's basically a mannequin in the window. Blogs keep Google and your customers knocking on your door. So just little tips of the week here that I can build into something. So that took what, a couple seconds. Now I take that and I build that into videos with the Moxie persona, or I can write this into other things within that environment. But it's always in her tone of voice and things like that. I could even go back here and get, say, write a blog about why blogs are important for small businesses. Boom. And I don't have to get specific about anything within that, right? So now, again, in her personality and her tone of voice, I have something that doesn't sound like a robot wrote it. That makes sense? Now, if you don't like that kind of snarky personality or what pulls out there, I'll show you some ways to go do that. So the way you want to train your AI to do that, the first thing you do is you gather some of your old writing, right? Doesn't have to be a huge number of pieces, but gather up an article that you wrote, maybe a presentation that you did, something that kind of documents your writing style. Add that into your AI, and then type in something simple like you're an editor, review the attachments and describe the author's style. Then you want that produce that output in a way that you can use that within a prompt with the style. So that will then create a prompt for you that basically describes the style you want the AI to write in, and it mimics your style. Then what you do is you come back in and you say, you are whatever expert you are and then write a blog on dot, 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 and then copy and paste, use this style on the end of that, and boom, your blogs can go forward. Or you take this review and do what I did and create it as a document within the piece below there. Make sense? So then just real quick, then what you can do is once you have this kind of stuff, as you saw, like kind of within the tips and tricks, you can turn these into things that you can very simply turn into tip of the week, and then you can copy and paste those into social media posts. You can do that kind of thing. What we've done, it's kind of in to get you into my tool real quick here. So the point of this of what I built for the tool is for small businesses, creating this content and proliferating that content is very difficult across all things. So what we do is we use that kind of technique of being able to create a voice for each individual business that we put together. And then we allow you to build content super easily within that environment. So you can come in here, you can generate either social media posts or blog posts in there. If we generate blog posts, you can generate that for, say, multiple weeks. You can put in any special instructions like, hey, do a customer profile every Wednesday and talk about this during the week of the 13th kind of thing. Then you generate that content. And I'm not going to do that because this will take a few minutes, but that generates all these posts at the same time. Then once you're there, you can just go in to the post, and it has a tone and a style that you've written in. Sorry. Oh, you might be updating that. So you have a quick post that's built. You can add imagery to that. You can add videos to that. Take that forward. This is just a video I created with AI, or an image I created with AI here. Little Yetis around a fire type of thing. I was just playing around, by the way, with that. But um, this is a test system. That's why I did that. But you get all that content created for you shortly, and then you can just you don't have to think about marketing. You can go and do other things with that environment. Any questions or comments on that? No? Okay. Well, just the background of how I got here, a little bit about me real quick. I've been in the marketing business for a long time, probably 30 years. I was there at the start of how we did all this stuff. And I had the ability to work with AI, mostly the quantitative AI stuff through the 2000s, 2010s. So when this LLM stuff came out, it felt very much like the beginning of the internet to me. Um, it's a destroyer of worlds in some way, but it's also an amazing tool that's going to change how we operate. I've had the privilege of leading marketing and product businesses for four startup companies, two large corporations. And now what I'm trying to do is help thousands of small businesses reach their potential. That's what I'm trying to do right now, and have fun and work on new technologies while I, am in the sunset of my career, as they say.
Jeff, I've got a question for you on one of the items that you mentioned. Are you, do you have kind of a continuous training cycle that you go through for your agents? Like when a post does well that you create, or it doesn't do well, do you feed that back into your document, your like education document for Moxie?
I don't do it for Moxie. I do that because I've done it within Firestarter here, within the Moxie tool within Firestarter marketing. So Moxie is a private AI model that we've fed with best practices, our history in marketing, everything that's worked, that doesn't work. How do you really optimize this stuff? And then it takes a look, not only within your own platform and what worked and what doesn't work, and does more of that, but also within like businesses as well. It will look at what's working for other people and apply that into your models as you put that together. But to your point, if you're doing this on your own within this environment, um, you could definitely add that into your instructions and take that in as a document, and then add that into your project level here with a new document that says do more of this and do less of that kind of thing. It's a good way to do it if you're not going to use a tool like mine.
Couple of questions that came in. Let's see here from Abraham. Do you ever tweak your brand voice depending on the platform, like Instagram versus, or sorry, LinkedIn versus Instagram?
Um, Not really, not on the brand voice. I do it on different personas though. So if you look on the left-hand side, I've got a Firestarter marketing persona, I've got the Moxie persona. I've done this for other brands as well and set their different personas out there. So I tweak it off of that. Again, here, these posts are optimized by the model I built behind Moxie here. So I don't bother with that within my own environment, but using the best practices of what's working on LinkedIn versus Instagram are always good things to do, for sure. And you
Awesome.
can put those in instructions into your project too,
Okay.
right?
It's a good question from Marion. What's one brand you think that is nailing their voice online right now?
Oh, you know, um, other than Wendy's, like, I think Wendy's does a great job with their social media. And those are, and the other one I really love in social media is actually the National Park Service.
Hmm.
They're freaking hilarious. But it's not necessarily about one brand. Let me give you there's a phrase I always use. When you're talk like it doesn't make sense for you to mimic a brand that's doing their own thing because they're doing their own thing. But what works for people in social media is authenticity, generosity. So don't be afraid to tell people what you know and put that out there, and consistency, right? You cannot you cannot build an audience by posting once per month. You can't post today and then forget about it for 3 weeks. You have to be consistent and do that over time. And in the beginning of that, it kind of feels like you're shouting into the void a lot too, because you don't have a following. So it's hard to build that out. But if you're consistently out there, you will find your following. You'll find your people, they'll find you in these things, and just keep going. Like, and don't expect it to turn on like a faucet, right? Marketing never works like a faucet. You want it to go. Um, you really want to go. I'm going to turn off my share. Sorry about that. You really want to be consistent over, give it at least 3 to 4 months of consistency before you say this isn't working for me.
Okay. Taylor also likes Wendy's. Taylor, do you want to just ask your questions?
Yep. Jeff, what are the top 3 tools other than Moxie and ChatGPT that you use either daily or just couldn't live without, and why?
Yeah. So I was showing, I've been playing a lot with imagery and videos lately. So I was showing the breakout session HeyGen. HeyGen is a really cool tool where you can build AI videos that look like, I mean, what I did that with a an animated type of person, but you can animate that video and have some of your content out there. You can also create an AI avatar of yourself in that. And when you create an AI avatar of yourself, what that means is you don't have to get in front of a camera all the time. You can basically just give it a script, and then the AI actually produces that so it looks like it's you speaking, but you didn't have to re-record that and make the mistakes and do the ums and the breakouts and all that kind of stuff. It actually produces those videos on a regular basis. And video is one of those things that works really, really well in your content, right? Um, the other one that I use a lot of from is ideogram for image creation. So if I need a quick image that is in my brand voice, has my logo on it, things like that, I go to ideogram or ideogram, and that can, I can just put in a text prompt and it generates me a fairly professional looking image that, I'll give you an example of that real quick. I'll show you it real quick. Something like ideogram. This is an ideogram generated image, right? Um, just gave it a quick prompt, and in about 30 seconds later, I have 4 different images to choose from. I can download those and take those forward. There's another one at the beginning of here that a little frustrated business owner because he's frustrated with marketing there. Again, just typed in a quick prompt there, got that out a couple minutes later. Helps you create that content really, really quick and easy. Do you guys want to see some of that? Like, I can show you one of the videos here of her, but again, so was this consistency was the one I showed you guys before, I think. So here's a animated image of Moxie giving you a tip of the week as a small business owner.
There's sound. I don't hear it yet. Oh,
Perfect blog every 6 months. AI search thrives on fresh, consistent content. Think of it like feeding the beast. If you ghost your blog, AI forgets you. Keep showing up, even with small posts, and you'll stay on the radar. Can't keep up with that? That's why I'm here. Let me do it for you.
Boom. And that took me about 2 minutes to put together because I had AI create the tip of the week. I copied and pasted into the environment. She's an avatar here where I can have different views of her as an avatar. I can choose different views, and then I just pop that all together. Yeah, within that. So this is HeyGen. The other one I've been starting to play with a little bit more, and I think it's a lot more sophisticated, is in video. I'm still testing that one, so I haven't bought the license on that yet, but I think in video is going to be even better than HeyGen is for me.
why do you think it's gonna be better?
It just seems to be putting out much stronger content in terms of what it can put together. The one thing I need to know there, though, is can I put my own screenshots in and can I put my own kind of content behind it? But it generates I think the AI view of, like, especially for a real person avatar, it works a little bit better in terms of the mouth syncing and the hand movements and things like that.
How are you doing tests with this? Like, are you testing those avatars for, like, the interaction with them or engagement or outcomes? So when you're automating this, are you running tests, and how?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, obviously, I use my own tool for that. But I'm looking at, what interactivity is happening on each one of those things. The tip of the week, the Market with Moxie tip of the week, has actually been really, really good. I got probably usually twice the interactivity than I do on a normal just static image post on something like that. Um, but yeah, so it's basically you put it out there and you see what kind of engagement it gets, and the more engagement you go, you kind of do more of that, and then you throw in another test of, okay, is it a, I don't know if you noticed I had like a real person avatar in there and then the cartoon avatar. I was testing whether a real person works better than the cartoon. I think I'm kind of the cartoon's a little less or is more approachable. So that's getting a little bit more love than others and things like that. So it's just keep pushing the envelope and keep trying, you know.
Good question, Taylor. So, Jeff, if you were to tell this group to do one thing, or what's the first thing to do in the next 15 minutes, what would you suggest? Assuming we're all trying to get the word out and build an audience and
Yeah, the first thing I would do is create your voice, right? So go ahead and just create that background of what your voice is, then feed that to the AI and have it write a blog for you. Or even better yet, just a LinkedIn post. Just do a LinkedIn post out there. I built my audience on LinkedIn through articles and posting, but I was actually writing back then. Um, and and that like very quickly got me into that, from about 500 followers to 3,400, 3,500 followers. Sorry, I was looking for my LinkedIn link for you guys. But yeah, so as I mentioned before, being authentic and consistent are two really important things. So just get out there and be yourself and put it out there. And just keep going. Don't think of it like a faucet. So don't quit after 2 weeks of this. Keep going as much as you can, because that consistency over time is what's going to build your audience for you.
very cool. Nathan, you gave a shout out for Hey Gen. How are you using Hey Gen today? If you're good with sharing. Nathan Nelson. Drop. All right.
Nathan.
Looks like he's busy.
You're good. You're good, Nathan.
There was one
From David.
question up above on consistency. What does good consistency look like, Jeff?
Uh, it's showing up probably at least 2 to 3 times per week, depending on the channel. So for LinkedIn, I typically did um, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday on that. Um, for Instagram, you can kind of spread that out a little bit, just kind of looking where you are, but it's 2 to 3 times per week per channel. And then, where you're getting your audience, right? Like if your audience doesn't exist on Facebook, you don't need to be on Facebook. But if your audience does exist in those places, be there 2 to 3 times a week with, something that they can consume very quickly, very snackable content. Um, and just yeah. So I think that answered your question. I was starting to ramble, but I'll stop.
Maybe a related question then from David. Do you have any benchmark data to gauge efficiency of the content you're putting out there? I assume it depends on the call to actions you're building in, but I'd want to know what's working and do I need to push out more similar content, etc.
Yeah, start with engagement. How many likes, comments, and those become gold, right? So are you getting the early on when you get a like, when you get comments, that creates more impressions for you, right? So that's where you want to start. those impressions will then start to build into your call to actions. So now you're starting to see what, after over time, you'll start to see where your appointments get set up, where people click through to setting up a meeting with you or whatever. Just be clear again, don't expect that in day one, right? Content is always one of those things that builds up over time. You got to build a reputation. You got to build, the type of following that you're looking for. So start with engagement, start with comments, respond to those comments. Then you can start looking at the growth of impressions. Then you start looking at your CTAs and how they're pulling together.
Got time for another question or two. You can just come off mute or put it in the chat. I'll ask a question while we're waiting. Jeff, what's a common mistake that you see someone making kind of out of the gate, or maybe not out of the gate, but kind of pitfall to avoid?
Well, this one's broader. Marketing is not a vending machine, right? You don't put money in and get money back out like right away, right? So marketing is about building an ecosystem of awareness first, then that turns into interest, desire, and action. So give it time. Don't quit on a tactic um, just because it's hard to do, right? And also the other side of that coin is don't forget marketing is a spectrum. So the more instant result you get, the more expensive it's going to be. But the free stuff takes time and energy and effort to do. AI circumvents that a little bit for you so you can do more of it, right? But here's what no one really tells you about all this. The paid stuff doesn't work as well if the free stuff isn't really, really working for you already. So don't forget about the elbow grease effort of getting yourself out there, building content around that, and building that. Then the paid stuff is going to work better for you. Because the first thing a lead that you generate through your paid stuff is going to do, they're going to go look at who you are and what you've put out there and what information you put out there. If there's nothing there, this stuff falls down. The paid stuff falls down. So think of it as a full spectrum, and you got to do it all to be super effective.
Great tip. If the free stuff isn't working, the paid
That
stuff's
paid
not
stuff
gonna
gets,
work.
it's like throwing money down the drain. I see it all the time, by the way. People, we all get those lead gen emails all the time and all that. But what's worse is these small businesses who pay for ads in social media and all that, and it just doesn't work. Because one, you're competing with big S brands who are outbidding you day in and day out. And it's simply like without the core basic content for yourself and putting it out there, that the ads just fall down.
Okay. One more question. Anyone? Anyone? Final thought. Well, in the background, I was asking GPT to give me an image of a vending machine that only takes money and sells promises for marketing, and it doesn't actually spit anything out at the bottom. It's just taking too long to render the image.
Oh, I have one of those in Ideogram I can send you.
That's great. That's great.
I did that blog post months ago.
Well, thanks, Jeff, for coming and sharing with us. Thanks everyone for coming in and learning and asking questions. The questions are what drive, a lot of the learning here. So come back next Tuesday. We'll be doing this again. Follow us on LinkedIn to see who the speaker will be, and we'll see you then.
Thanks,
Thanks,
everybody.
Jeff.
Appreciate it. Take care,
Thanks.
guys.